So close, yet so far away for the St George Illawarra Dragons. The Newcastle Knights limping in with a 2-point victory over the Dragons, moving the Knights now into third position on the NRL ladder. They seem to have that one in the bag, but the Dragons just wouldn't go away, Brandon.
Couldn't kick clear the Newcastle Knights, Braith. They scored through Sandon Smith in the 55th minute, and you thought a 10-point lead was going to be enough, but Lewis passed to Gutherson. They got themselves back in the game. They went awfully close. They went closer than you would have thought to a win there. If Kyle Flanagan controls that ball, well, they upset the Newcastle Knights, but they weren't able to do that. And in the end, their 4 tries from kicks wasn't enough. Val Holmes missed a conversion off the try, off the kick set to 2, and then missed one, hit the upright on the one in the sideline.
They were there to be beat, weren't they? Newcastle, they just kept staying in the fight. The Dragons, some of their middle forwards I thought superb tonight. Toby Couchman, Hamish Stewart, absolutely terrific, just stayed at it, and then Atkins lofted it into the air. This is the kick you're talking about, Brandy. He normally throws them over. Val just pulls it to the left-hand side, and in the end, a tough loss for the Dragons because they had an opportunity in 18 seconds to go to win that game.
Well, there was a steal at the other end of the field. You know, Josh Kerr ended up with the ball, the steal, and they got themselves into a position to put up a kick. We thought they were setting up for a 2-point field goal. Yeah. They brushed that. They thought they'd go for the win. They'd scored some points off bombs tonight. And almost did it. Yeah,
it was almost like crazy. Newcastle knew they were the better team, probably playing for more than what the Dragons had, and they just dialed it back a couple of percent, and the Dragons just kept fighting. They didn't play an electric brand of football. They just hung in there, scored try from kicks, but you've got to give credit. I think the Dragons of a few weeks ago would have folded, and the Newcastle Knights would have ran away with points. So, I think there's not much to take away from Newcastle, but there are some green shoots in what the Dragons
I thought there was still a bit to like with Newcastle early in that first half, some of their ball movement, like the support play of Sharpe, but really the creativity of Dylan Brown. We spoke about him tonight without Kalen Ponga and without their other Origin star, Dylan Lucas, having to step up. And I thought Sharpe and Brown in that first half really put Gagai in particular on that right-hand side in some great positions. Best as well over on that left-hand side, but particularly down their right-hand side. Seemed to park it a little bit in the second half, Brandy. Didn't see a lot of ball movement from them in the second half. There was a moment with a couple of minutes to go with Dom Young and Gagai down that right-hand side again, but I thought Fletcher Sharpe, fullback, and Dylan Brown tonight were still very good.
They were, Mick, they were. And Dane Gagai, we highlighted Gagai's performance against the Melbourne Storm. Came up with some great plays. Did that again tonight down that sideline with Dom Young. Put Val Holmes under all sorts of pressure. The kick was the play for the Dragons. Yeah. It produced 4 tries, and they just kept at it too.
Yeah. I think that is their play because they're ineffective, they're halved in terms of trying to engage the line. They kept throwing the ball to Late Lewis. He was the most dangerous player towards the back end. The Newcastle Knights, I support what the boys said about Brown and Sharpe. I thought Gagai had a really good game too. Like he gave Valentine Holmes knockout blow in terms of 1v1. The ability for him to be a threat, set up Dom Young. Whether it's his last year or not, Dane Gagai was playing really well. The Newcastle Knights brand of football is get it to their centres, and their centres come up with things.
I thought this bloke had a great game tonight, Dylan Egan.
He was outstanding.
Yeah, I thought we spoke before the game, a tough 12 months for him coming off this ACL, significant layoff. But starting to find his best footy. There's been a lot of raps on that young forward pack, and he's certainly one of the guys that features in amongst that. I thought he was terrific tonight.
Yeah, you can just tell there's room in these young forwards. Yeah. Like sometimes you get a young player and you think, well, I don't know how much better he can get. But the Couchman brothers and Toby was outstanding again.
Toby was
Hamish Stewart, great young back rower. And Dylan Egan was probably the best out of that bunch tonight.
What about the Newcastle Knights? Sorry, Mick, you got to give them credit. They've got this win, albeit a close one. They weren't at their best. They didn't have Kalen Ponga, who didn't back up from Origin on Wednesday night. But Coop, still probably a game they may have lost this time last year.
Yep, and in terms of the ladder, it puts them up in the 3rd spot. 22 points now, which is a big victory. If you're looking to play finals, looking at the Dragons on your roster, that's a tick. You've got to get that job done. Valentine Holmes kicks it, they might be losing this game. It might cost them a final spot. So it's just one of those games without their origin players that go, you know what, at home we beat a team below us on the ladder. They want to play finals. That's the one they had to tick off. So they got the 2 points, got the job done.
There's games at the end of the season when you make the top four that you look back on that you win when you're not at your best, and they're coming off a bye, obviously without their best player and Kalen Ponga. No Dylan Lucas tonight, who's been a big threat from on that left-hand side, but they weren't at their best tonight, Newcastle. But the Dragons dragged them into the dogfight. But it's an important win. Doesn't matter at the end of the season. You don't look back on every performance, and it's where you finish and the type of footy you play at the back end of the year. It's a big win for them.
It's the games you win when you're not at your best that you normally have your best seasons. Now, our Jack Daniels MVP for tonight's game was Fletcher Sharpe, and really he's double early, got the Knights off to a flyer, and he was everywhere.
Yeah, he was, and had to be. No Kalen Ponga, so they decided Fletcher Hunt was named at fullback. They pushed Fletcher Sharpe from 5'8" back to fullback, and heavily involved in the opening 10 minutes, really, where the win was set up. They protected, they ended up just playing and doing enough throughout the game to protect the lead that they got in the opening 10 minutes, and it was Fletcher Sharpe's performance in that period that got them to that lead, and in the end that was the difference between the two.
The thing I like about Fletcher Sharpe is it doesn't matter if he plays in the wing, fullback or in the halves, he just competes. Like he'll just turn up and have a go. He won't be the type, if he played on the wing, he wouldn't sit out on the right wing and just wait for the ball to come to him. Kick goes up, he chases through. If there's an offload, he's there to support. And if he needs to be on the pass, 2 passes wide, he will be there. Like, he's just a guy that wants to be involved, and no matter who comes back into that side, Fletcher Sharpe's one of the first people picked for Newcastle.
Remember, he started on the wing.
Yeah.
He played on the wing.
Yeah.
He scored 11 tries in 10 games or something. Like, he was incredible. You're right, Coop. He can play anywhere.
Thanks,
just
Greg.
stick him on the field. Another very good point.
You're on fire tonight, Coop.
Jeez, mate,
That's
good
2.
points.
Thanks, Mick.
Cooper,
That's 3.
Another good point.
It's 3-0, by the way.
I remember being at ground level at Vegas, similar start to what he dished up tonight, and the energy that he brings to the footy side, the communication. That night he was just sitting behind Brown, sitting behind Ponga. He was left, he was right, he was everywhere across the park. And his communication, his will to compete, but his instinct break. That's what I... Yeah. You know, when people say, oh, he's a genuine footy player, and for a lot of people go, well, what is that? Well, it's someone that just reads the game, understands where to be, what's happening in the game, got good feel for the game and what's needed at that point in time. And tonight, in that opening 10 minutes, he injected into that fullback position where he's so comfortable, and he just put himself in the right positions. He's a class act.
He is the type of player that makes his own luck because he's so busy. He's on the ball, position, in terms of positional play, he's always in the game, you know, when he needs to be. Now,
That's a great point, bro.
Thank you. I'm just trying to keep up with Cooper tonight.
3-1.
From the young to the old, and our VB hardest working player tonight was Dane Gagai. Now, this guy is so consistent. I mean, even tonight, in a side that weren't at their best, he was hard to handle all night.
He was. A couple of big plays from him. And you know, we've spoken a little bit about him already. His form's been terrific this year. And as you said, we don't know whether he is retiring. He's doing a lot of jersey swaps after full time with the opposition. But he gave Val Holmes a nightmare and set up a couple of really great plays for the Knights.
I remember the last game against the Melbourne Storm. I think he had a crack at Munster and got a bit of an argy-bargy. Him and Valentine Holmes have played rep football together. So he didn't take it easy. He went after Valentine Holmes, knew that Sloane was defending there, and just knew that his indecision-making was the ability for him to skip and flick. He's playing really good football, and they obviously love him at Newcastle. I think he went to the 4th on all-time list for Newcastle games tonight, so he's been a very, very good player for a long time.
Done it for a long time, hasn't he? For a long time. I still remember games where, like Josh Morris, who I regarded as one of the best defensive centres through that period that he was playing at Canterbury, just the battle between him and Dane. Like, Josh had to be at his absolute best just to try and contain him. And the one thing you love about Gags, it was really interesting. Like, Dylan Brown's such a cool customer and so relaxed, and he said that before the game, when Jake asked him about him breaking the record and what it's like to play with him, he said he's so calm, but when he gets on the field, you see this angry Dane Gagai. There's just a will to win.
Yeah.
And no matter what level he's played at, Wally Lewis medalist as a winger. You know, we're seeing similar from Selwyn Cobbo at the moment, but Gagai did that on the wing, and every level he played at, and everyone that's played with him has loved playing with him.